Hello, everyone. This is Dr. J, host of the Sexuality Space. Welcome, my co host, virtual assistant, and all around I can do anything. Misha Elliott is going to be behind the scenes organizing our business for today. As she's coming into the space, I'm giving her the co host invite. For those of you listening to the replay, we're in our third year of the Sexuality Space, and we are live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on Twitter, and that's Eastern Time. Here, I have created a sex positive community where we talk about various sex topics. We meet CEOs of sex companies, sex educators, researchers, writers, people interested in improving health related to sexuality. And I want everyone to see me doing my work in the daylight um, as I integrate sexuality into everyday life. Yes, I've been doing it so much today, my brain is fried. As a reminder, this is a recorded space which will live on the Twitter timeline. It is repurposed on my website, on my FlowGen playlist, and on my YouTube channel. So, greetings to you all. Please note that this space is equipped with its own chat feature in the bottom right corner. You can ask questions there as the space goes on, or DM Misha or me with questions. So today I'm excited to welcome the Slut Sisters, an embodied community of sexually liberated, unshamed, transformed, femme identifying sisters supporting one another's unique sexual empowerment. So my topic for today, I called it What's in a Name? So I think this is a great way to start. And before I jump in there, Mish, how are you today?
I'm doing great. The sun is shining, but once again, it is a lie. It's freezing.
Mish is going to be responsible for putting some tweets in the nest, which is the area above your head. So you'll see some different things that we'll be showcasing there. But I would like to welcome the Slut Sisters.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. So good to be here.
Now, tell me each of your names here. I've got glasses on. I'm trying to look at my little tiny words.
No problem. This is Anya speaking.
Excellent, Anya.
And I am Scarlett, Scarlett with one T, as they call me where I come from. But I'm also known as Salacious Scarlett in these spaces. And it's just a joy to be here with you, Dr. J.
Well, let me tell you, Mistress K has sung your praises for so long. It's like I'm remiss that you and I, the three of us, have not had a conversation before now. So I was delighted when you said that this time worked for you. And I think it's an interesting time in the world. And I heard that real Southern accent, Scarlett. So I think we're in the South, but in very different places. And I don't know which one of us is having to deal with more craziness because I'm in Florida.
Oh, I'm in Texas. I think we comprise all of the crazy. And I've got to tell you, I'm not a native Texan, but it's rubbed off on me heavily
It
throughout
sounds
the
like it.
years. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I love it. Well, I thought maybe I would just start and have you tell us a little bit about how you focused in on this community idea, how you personally moved this forward, and why.
Well, I mean, I think the simplest answer is how could we not when we see the lack of representation for sex positivity for women who want to reclaim their sexual identity, their own pleasure. And so simply like what I will say, and then let Scarlett fill in as well, is that when she and I met, we met in the context of lifestyle and sexual exploration. And we both had been kind of exploring in the relationships that we were in at the time, but without a lot of other sisters to be relying on and leaning on as we were navigating very uncharted waters for ourselves. And so we took such deep solace in our connection from jump when we stepped into traveling together, slutting together, enjoying, our discoveries in this world together. But we just knew that what we were experiencing with one another, we didn't want to keep that hidden. We wanted to expand it. We wanted to open it up. We wanted to experience it with other women. So I think for me, that was my why. And I think that I've heard Scarlett echo very similar things, but babe, fill in what I'm missing.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that, certainly Slut Sisters was born from our deep friendship and our capacity to see and hold space for each other in a way that we just hadn't discovered. I think that when one decides to really prioritize yourself and your sexuality, your sexual expansiveness, it's like, well, where is the roadmap for that? Or where is the traveling companion for that? And we may have masculine traveling companions, but they just haven't had the life experience of coming into sexual embodiment in a femme body, and with everything that comes with that, with all the societal shame that we have to unpack and work through. And so Anya and I were able to do that for each other effortlessly just through our connection, and we just realized this is needed. Just like Anya said, how could we not, when we were enjoying this with each other, want to spread that love and safety into the world and give disturb, I apologize, Dr. J, but give every woman seeking this the opportunity to come into sisterhood.
Yeah. So what I want to do is to take apart, your descriptor, because, this is about education. This is about letting people know how things are put together. So I'm getting the sexually liberated. So when you say that, what do you mean? An embodied community of sexually liberated. So how are you framing that?
Yeah, I think liberation looks different for everyone, right? I think that what we are trying to promote within this community is what is your truth? What is your truth within your sexual identity, within your heart, within your body, within your gut, and how are you going to claim that for yourself? How are you going to make sure that you are placing that need of yours, that sexual desire of yours, that sexual expression of yours? How are you going to place that in a place of priority in your life and pay attention to what it's asking for and what you want? And so liberation comes from all sorts of things. There's other elements to the name as well with regard to unshaming and how all of this transforms us. But to me, I think the liberation is to know it, to own it, to claim it, and to reject anything that says your experience is invalid, your experience is not okay, and your experience should not be expressed. And so for me, there is a lot of times in many of us, all of these things that we are raised with, these ideals, these quote unquote morals that are put upon us by society, and we are not ever given a chance to say whether or not that fits us. And when you step into a space of liberation, you understand what is for you, or you start to learn what is for you. You start to claim it and you reject that, which has been put on you by others, by society, by religion, by whatever it may be that does not resonate for you.
Well, I love it. We are more aligned in a parallel direction than I was aware of, because my journal that's coming out on August the 15th and the purple sex cards that I have, This is from the sex education direction that I have worked for 47 years of let us be holistic human beings and let us look at that
Yes.
from our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body. And so I use the umbrella of sexuality with 9 specific sex topics where people can do what you're saying. The now, own, claim, and reject. The whole journal is facilitated for a woman to be able to take that for herself and come up with their own definitions, like they're creating their own owner's manual, if you will, in the process. And I love how you're talking about this as doing it in community. So I want to go back to your definitions. We've got transformed femme identifying sisters. So let's get that defined and then we'll broaden our scope.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll speak to that. So, Dr. J, a lot of folks, when they encounter our community, our sisterhood, and our podcast and everything that we're putting out there, the term slut sisters. So we from Jump Street, we understand that the term slut is a term that has been used to slander women, to diminish them, to really minimize their humanity as sexual beings. It comes from patriarchy. It stems from, the commoditization and ownership of the feminine sexuality as a way to, promulgate all of these systems of power that benefit from it. So we realized that we wanted to reclaim and take back this term that has been used to slander women just like us and find a new way of relating to it. Like you were saying, developing a new language, but for us, it was taking this back and saying, we are going to redefine this. And so when you were talking about a community of transformed femmes, the T, it's an acronym, and this T in our new definition of slut is transformed. And the transformational process of coming to know yourself as an embodied sexual being that deserves pleasure, that deserves to pursue that pleasure in a way that best suits me and my unique life journey, that is the transformational piece. That, the notion of we're going to have sex. I'm going to have sex with my partner now, and I'm going to have it, and then I'm going to stop having it. And it's this liminal space in my life that only exists during this time that I'm having sex, and then it's really irrelevant. We reject that notion. We believe that our sexual expression transforms us, it elevates us, it challenges us, it allows us to become more fully human and to get a greater glimpse of our potential as people. That, so many women have shared in our sanctum and beyond about how becoming an embodied woman has enhanced their motherhood experience, enhanced their career trajectory, all of these arenas that we don't really associate with having sex. But when we come into our full humanity, that has all sorts of incredible ripple effects. And the piece about femmes, and Anya, I'd love for you to jump in too. From the very beginning here in our sisterhood, we have always said this is a community for femmes, and we believe feminine expression is so much bigger than being born a biological cisgender woman. We are extremely inclusive of, and we understand that all sorts of people have a femme expression. We, of course, love and embrace our trans sisters that as women and therefore totally belong in the sisterhood. And we understand that there are people, who are non-binary who have femme expressions. There are people, all sorts of people with femme expressions, and there is a seat at the table for them in our sisterhood. So that's why you will see the language of femme a lot in our, in what we put out there, because we want to be very inclusive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not really sure there's much to add there. I think you covered it beautifully. So yeah,
It was eloquent. It was
Yeah.
absolutely eloquent. And I was
Perfection.
thinking that, you know, It immediately reminded me of Andre Lord's work on eroticism and
Yes.
the power behind eroticism, and that
Mm.
when you take these words that have been used against you and you put them in a context to say, this is my definition, this is how I'm going to use it. Misha and I did this, I don't know how many years back now. We were Sisters in Smut, and it was smut being a word that, you know, as writers, we were going to work at it from a different direction. And I think so many people are surprised when they hear me talk about this. I was in a webinar earlier today, and, you know, the idea of how do we address sexuality in writing. You know, everybody reads. We know that books teach, but what are they teaching? Nobody has sex education where they're going to get this put together in a way that's going to make sense to help people get to that holistic place. And I think that's one of, as I wind down my career, this is one area that I definitely want to work with and help authors to get to that place where they can address it. Just as both of you said, it is holistic. It is, I wake up in the morning, I'm a sexual human being. I go through my entire day. I go to sleep as a sexual being. I sleep as
Yes.
one. I wake up the next day as one. But we don't put it on equal footing or give it equality in the processes of all of our life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is just the way that we are taught to live our lives, right? We're taught to compartmentalize that which people are uncomfortable speaking about. That comes down to sexuality. It comes down to all of these things. And when we express that, be it through the written word, through the spoken word, it makes a lot of people really uncomfortable. but
Yeah.
but when we do it in ways that are approachable, when we do it in ways that aren't about being angry and about pointing fingers and about rallying against things, but make it about coming into and becoming at peace with and exploring things and doing it that way, hopefully it feels a little bit more approachable than just like pointing fingers at and saying that is wrong, that is bad, because that is exactly what people are doing to
What
us.
was
That's
done to
exactly
us.
what people are
Yes.
doing to sluts. So we have to reframe it and turn around and say, how can we expand people's minds and consciousness around these things? And yes, I love that you're doing it through the written word because it is so deeply powerful.
And I love how you've also tied it to exploration, which is one of my favorite words. It seems like as adults, we forget that joyful kid expression when we were little of curiosity, of wonder, of all these things that we seem to set aside as adults. And so many adults would be, if we looked at adult play, if we look at sexuality in that, category, exploration is a perfectly wonderful place to sit in, and everybody can tap into energy in that direction. So I love that you did that. But so here's what I want to ask next. Um, what exactly are you providing out there in the world? Is this a business? Is this, tell me how you have it put together.
What are we providing? Well, I think that the essence of what we're providing is community, right? Like at the end of the day, you can join Slut Sisters for free. We have an inner sanctum, which is our Discord that Scarlett built for us, that allows everybody that comes in a safe space to explore, to ask questions, to play. We have the opportunity to extend the table as far and as wide as sisterhood falls on people's ears and how they feel it in their hearts. So for us, community really is first and foremost what this is all about. And so at this point in time, that is the main channel that we've been building, yet we are moving in the direction of also offering some educational services, some fun, some coaching, that sort of stuff. And we are actually kicking off our event series, which we will be doing on a monthly basis. And we have a first ticketed event coming up for people who either are in the free tier membership of Slut Sisters or are not in Slut Sisters and would like to join. This is open to femmes and masculines. It is our first event is called Slut Bag Roulette, and we are going to be bringing to the table a bunch of content creators as well as ourselves, and we are inviting a gentleman by the name of John. He goes by Hi There Catsuit, and he works with Dating Kinky a lot and has a podcast with them. He'll be moderating it. And then moving forward, we're going to do different monthly events. Some of them will lean toward the salacious, some of them will lean toward the sacred, some will lean more toward the educational and transformational. I think is going to be a big piece of this work too. So community, events, coaching, support, all of that. But for us, the cornerstone of it all is sisterhood.
Okay, and I want to point out that Mish has put this in the nest over everybody's head, and I think it's also in the chat bubble on the right-hand corner. She's been listing that. Wow, I love your graphics. Slut bag roulette. Ooh, this is looking really cool.
It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. Oh,
I,
Dr. J, I just wanted to really push up what you just shared about play and exploration. I think that is, and tying it into what Anya said, we had a guest on the Flaming Yoni podcast who talked about how play and just doing something for the joy of doing it is so radically transformative in your life.
yes,
It just allows you to be in the moment in a way. And sex is play. And yet when we play with sex, we encounter so many things about ourselves, about others, and we want to play in a safe and supportive sandbox, right? And
right,
sex,
absolutely.
is not, sex traditionally has not always been the most safe and supportive sandbox for women to play in. And so sisterhood and this community we are building and these offerings that we are putting forth is to create a safer sandbox with more toys, with more
Yes.
space for exploration, so that, women, no matter at what stage of their journey, no matter where they're in, women and femmes can come in and be in community and have a way to process and grow and get curious and get lit up in all sorts of ways they maybe even weren't expecting.
I love it. And you're right, because I think it's in the same way that I've just been in the last 3 years that the World Association of Sexuality has added pleasure as a definitional component to sexuality. And if we take a
Wow.
look at the fact that we have an orgasm gap and that men can more easily have an orgasm than women can, and we're not talking about or giving them good factual information about how bodies work and the things that make it happen, or to find out that all of these years we have a clitoral body and the tip of it is the outside component in the vulva. I mean, we're dealing with this as we need to help people become educated, so in that sandbox they can feel good about their exploration and they know what they're made of.
Amen. I love that you hit that home, because when we don't understand our bodies, how can we understand our pleasure? And how can we understand how to help others understand our pleasure?
Or to
So,
communicate it directly if you
or
want to involve partners.
that's exactly right. And finding a way to speak what it is for you, finding the confidence. I mean, these are not things that come with the operating manual when we're born. And Lord knows that most of our parents aren't teaching us these things when we're growing up, because they don't know them. They're not in touch with these things themselves. So I just want to just reemphasize the gratefulness that we feel in order to, or like it, that we get to bring this out into the world with other sisters, because what we're doing is normalizing it for us, for the people who are experiencing it now, and then getting to bring that forth to other generations. I just had a conversation around being a mom and being involved in kink and sexual positive spaces, and the fact that I can have open conversations about sexuality that are age appropriate but also sex positive with my child makes me feel so hopeful that the future for them and their generation is going to look so different.
Well, I want to talk to the mom part. So imagine, this is 47 years worth of material that I've been working, and I've have a male child. And as I'm going into all my work and I meet people, they go, "Oh, are you like the person in Meet the Fockers?" And I go, Yes, I'm just like Barbara Streisand.
Yep.
I can laugh about that. But then, as we get further down in the evolution of sex education, and Netflix brings sex education out,
Yes.
um, my son goes, now everybody's asking me, was this what it was like to live with you?
I asked my son if he felt the same way, Dr. J, because it's so funny. And he's like, you know what, though? Like, at least I'm growing up in a sex positive house. A lot of people aren't. And he brings his friends' questions to me about stuff. And he's
Oh,
basically going back to school and feeding them my answers. So
and
I'll take it.
yes, and I think that that's such a great point to understand that when you have the capabilities, like here we are having this conversation, we're being open, we're being genuine, we're being authentic. People can have that experience and see that the topic that we're talking about may be a difficult topic for a lot of people, but it is approachable. We can talk about it in that direction. And I think, you move that out and you see that within your family, you see that within the friends groups, you see that within all of this. So we probably have been creating that community and haven't just labeled it in that way, in the way that you're talking about labeling it right now. So I'm really excited to hear about that.
Yeah, something that Anya and I share about a lot, Dr. J, is that like we understand that we are in the midst of this beautiful, expansive shift in our collective consciousness expressed in our culture and our society that is becoming more open and more understanding of just the full breadth of human expression.
Mm.
And we know that like this is a movement. It's not about us, but we really believe that we have had such a great opportunity to join in at what I believe is an early stage. I think that um, in 10 years, things are going to look so different, and we want them to look different. And we want to be just riding that wave of creating a safer world for people to just be in their full expression earlier in their life. And what could be possible if that was the case? Just the possibility is boundless, and the future really looks bright.
Yeah, and I just want to take a second right here. And as you're talking about safety, I want to talk about one of the things that I do within this space. There are people that I know follow and who follow me, and I always want to make sure that my um, guests, have that safety extended to them. So if you do not follow me, I don't follow you. We've never had any conversations. When the Q&A part happens for this, I won't be necessarily offering the microphone to folks that I don't know in order to keep that safety in place for everyone. So I just wanted to say that.
Thanks for that.
So what's that?
I just said thanks for that.
Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful.
you are so welcome. And that's for all people. That's for everyone in the space to give them that capability to feel the safety part. So, what would you say is the most interesting thing you've put together as part of the community?
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I don't know if
Great
it's the most,
question.
yeah, I was gonna say, babe, I was thinking about the other night when we did our Slut Sister sesh. I was thinking about when we shared the Fuck Yes list and the reception that it got from the sisters. And I feel like that might be something that her audience would really appreciate hearing about.
Yeah, absolutely. We have developed a somatic exercise that is really designed around learning our individual internal yeses and nos. And there are some resource out there for that. And I see so many of our sisters here in the
I
space, and
know,
I
me
just want to
too.
say, like, it's amazing to see, like, I've had the opportunity to public speak, and like when you look out into and you see your family, like that's how I feel seeing y'all. Love y'all,
Same.
sisters. You know who you are. But anyway, we we want to be really specific and actually really graphic. Like, does DVP make you recoil in your body, or does something in your body awaken when you think about that? And those are the kind of resources that like aren't really there for women, because a lot of the femme resources are kind of a little more subtle when it comes to, awakening sexuality. And it's not that we're against that, but we know that this is really needed. And I would say, I think that the offering that like I am most proud of, and something that I believe will live beyond me, is the episodes we did on the Flaming Yoni about the triple wounds, we call them.
Yeah.
These are intergenerational traumatic wounds that are passed from mothers to daughters and mothers to daughters. And they're known as the mother wound, the sister wound, and the witch wound. And they actually have a tremendous amount to do with sexuality and how our sexuality is expressed, sexual trauma we carry. And Anya and I were very vulnerable in sharing our experience with these and our process of healing. So that, for me, I think has been the greatest offering. And I just implore all of you, if you haven't listened to it yet, even if you're a masculine, we also see some great masculine supporters of ours. Do you have women in your life? We're 50 some odd percent of the population, and this affects all of us to some degree. So highly recommend those episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you addressing that the way you did, Scarlett, because I think, as an educator trying to put together content for people to do that exploration, and sometimes you get into some very minute details that people may not have language about, they may not understand how things are put together. And so when they find an activity, something that they can do that will address the things the way you said it, I mean, that's like, gold. I'm in a place where, wow, this resonates with me, and I've got to figure out how to use it so I can, mine the nuggets from the whole process. And I love that you're doing that process as well. And, with a podcast, wow, you've got all sorts of ways that you can do that. Go ahead, Anya.
I think the only other thing I wanted to highlight is that when we are helping women kind of get in their bodies and understand what does feel like a full body fuck yes for them, the spectrum that they're thinking about things on are either that's a hell yes or that's a hell no for me. But also we think about it because a lot of times when we are approaching our sexuality in the context of partnership, women are in general, and I'll just say this is kind of a generalization, but we are taught in our lives to please. We are taught in our lives to be givers. And we often don't think about the fact that some of the things that we might be doing in the bedroom or for pleasure aren't really for us. They're more for the pleasure of our partner. And that isn't always something that's wrong, because sometimes it can really enhance the relationship as long as it's not hurting you or, kind of your own expression. That's not a bad thing. But one of the things we really want to bring awareness to, because of the way that we have experienced aspects of the lifestyle as well, is just be aware. Are you doing something from a performative place? And if so, what are you getting from it? What is it that you are or are not receiving in this exchange as well? Because in an effort to get to your own sexual liberation, your own sexual expression, and embracing it and getting your needs met, you have to understand when you're doing things that are not for you. And I think, again, not necessarily always harmful, but if you're only doing things in a performative way to become somebody else's sex toy, to become somebody else's whatever, that after a while, that's going to kind of grind on you and take a toll on your own sexual expression. And it's going to make you start to feel out of touch with yourself because you're not tapping into what actually generates life force for you. So that's another piece that I really love about the exercise, is that you're looking at things that feel good in your body somatically, and you're also able to see whether you are engaging in things for yourself or for your partner, and then understand the why behind that and whether you'd want to keep doing that.
I love that, Anya. And the other thing, too, you just made me think about the whole idea of a construct. the femme or the masculine traits. We know that this is just a way to define things. And if you fall into quote, quote, roles, that you can extrapolate those roles right into the sexuality, where you end up deleting the way you might be able to perceive yourself because the roles take over. And so this is really teasing apart smaller pieces of who you, the person, are sitting in your sexuality and wanting to tap into that unbelievable energy. I'm always talking about the second chakra. I'm talking about it being creative. I'm talking about it being the sexual energy place. But, another thing that you just reminded me of too, in terms of what people don't know about the body, would be with the, fuck yeah list, is understanding where sex research comes into play, that we can start helping people get some specific information, like Come As You Are, Nagoski's book, where she talks about the difference between spontaneous desire and responsive desire. Sometimes we think about youth and we go, oh, our body works, boom, everything's going, I'm hot and horny and all this. And then sometimes it doesn't work that way. And so we're finding different mechanisms about what's causing the body to respond, and being able to share those specific educational pieces so people can have that higher quality they're looking for of sex as they're trying to, get as much detail as they can.
I am so thrilled you brought that book up, because I recommend it to all of my clients. And I have a 60-year-old client right now that I'm doing some sex coaching with. And she and her husband are finding that book to be revolutionary. They had no idea about how desire worked for them. And just, whether it is, kind of the gas pedal reference of
Yep.
pushing the gas and all of that. And she's just like, oh my gosh. She had this aha moment last week in one of our sessions where she was like, so when I made fun of myself when he wanted to have sex with me, you're telling me that like put the brakes on for him. And I was like, there you go. You're already connecting the dots. Like, he wants to know that you feel juicy in this situation. He doesn't want you making fun of yourself and making fun of your body. He wants to enjoy it. And so I love that you brought that book up, because I think it is such a fantastic resource.
Yeah, and I think there's so many out there. And Subby had asked a question about the connection here between purple sex, and I had addressed this earlier on, but I'm gonna, come back together. Is that, the thing about any of us doing sexuality work is that it is a true expression of who we are as individuals, just like sex is. So the way Scarlett may bring it forward, or the way Anya may bring it forward, or the way I may bring it forward can be totally different, but yet at the same time, we're focused on the same goal. We want this to be sex positive. We want this to be educational. We want people to be able to get, what they need. And the purple sex is me talking about those things, but creating my activity bucket for people, women, to be able to work with to see where they're going. So I think, Subby, that yes, it does go together. So Scarlett, Anya, what do you think? Does my method sound like it goes with your method?
100%.
Yes. I mean, oh, go ahead, babe.
I was just going to say, you mentioned earlier that Mistress K had kind of been singing our praises to you, well, vice versa. And I actually have been planning to grab that deck, because she's been singing the praises of it to me. So I absolutely think so. And this is our formal invitation. We would love to have you on the Flaming Yoni. So we need to talk about this more.
Oh, yes, I would absolutely love that. That would be so fun. And I don't know if Mistress K told you this, but the digital deck launched this week.
I saw that from you. I was so excited.
I am too. So it's going to be kind of neat, because I think when people do card work, it has that wonderful ritual feel to it, and they create the space they want to be in and the ambiance. But then you want them to stay in their home, and you want them to feel comfortable where they are. But yet I want to be out in the world and have that experience too. And since everybody's carrying their mobile around with them, wow, you could have an app on that, and you can set your layout that you did today right on your phone, or you could do a new one. So I'm really excited to see where this might go, in helping people in that world. So yes, thank you both for saying that. So let me just clarify. You have the community. You're now putting together a once a month educational component. Where do people connect to become part of the community? Is that in the nest? I don't know.
I
It
had a link
definitely,
for the newsletter and mailing list, so hopefully it would be in there.
yeah, everything is the hub of coming into sisterhood, our events, our podcast. It's all on our website, theflamingyoni.com. We have a Slut Sisters section on the website that'll give you all the information about Slut Sisters, about the membership process, because we didn't mention this, but there is an initiation process to come into sisterhood. All are welcome as long as you have a femme expression. However, we do conduct a interview because we want to know our sisters deeply. This is a sisterhood. It's not kind of a community that you casually join. We want to deeply know our sisters so that we can find out how we can best support them and how the community can best be built for them. So that process is listed on that webpage, as well as the initiate application to join, and our events calendar is there as well. So peruse that, theflamingyoni.com, and Yoni is spelled Yoni. And I just really wanted to say something about the beautiful parallel process that you just described, Dr. J, about how you convert research into tools, and you have this capacity to express, these concepts about sexuality in your own style, the same way we all have sex and bring our own like sexual energy into sex. Like, I love that. And our listeners know, and our sisters know, and some folks gathered, Anya and I, like, when we talk about this and our like vision and mission, you may think that like we are twinsies, but we actually have very different sexual expressions. We have very different way of pursuing our own personal empowerment, and that's a beautiful thing. And so we want all of the femmes in the sisterhood to also have a variety of beautiful expressions. This is not a homogenous community in any way other than that we are sexually liberated, unshamed, and transformed. So if you are asexual and that's true for you, come on in. If you are megasexual like me and that's true for you, come on in. If you're demisexual, if you are, in a monogamous dynamic but want to bring this energy into that, like it's not for any one container other than this container of sisterhood and mutual support and respect. So just wanted to add that.
Oh, that's great, Scarlett. I really like how you define that because it shows the actual wonderful care that you are taking about the topic and the people and how it affects them. And you're exuding it. I mean, it's really there. The feel for it is there. So I'm excited to be able to have this conversation with you. Okay, so we went through the how to get connected to you, and we know that there's a podcast, and we know you have new programs coming. I'm curious, is the community totally online, or do you also have physical meeting locations?
I love that. We absolutely will be having physical. At this moment in time, it is all virtual. We have the Discord. We do monthly virtual, like face-to-face happy hours via Zoom, but we are planning to host a 2023 Slut Sister Soiree that will be in person. It will be all femme focused. It won't be a play party, if you will, but we are not against the idea of that in the future, but we want to start with something just to get our sisters face to face and really getting into all of this juiciness with each other in a way that we can really support each other and lift each other up in person. So that will be something that will be offered to our Slut Sister members later this year.
So, just for me, to planning purposes, how far would I have to travel for this?
While we don't have a location nailed down yet, we're going to try to figure it will be in the US. We have sisters that are in the Midwest. We have sisters on the East Coast. We have sisters in the Southeast. We have sisters on the West Coast. So we are just trying to figure out something a little bit regionally centric. I live in Colorado, so that might be a good option. But we've also looked at some places in Texas and things like that. So TBD on location for that.
Gotcha. Oh, that's great. That's great. Um, okay, so this is my favorite question that I always ask. What would you like to share that I have not asked about or we haven't covered?
Mm,
Gosh, you're such an incredible interviewer. You have
I
just
feel
like
like
prompted us in so many directions, Dr. J. I mean, this has just been a fantastic space. Just I guess we'll just speak a little bit about our show, The Flaming Yoni. Our show is separate, but the Slut Sisters is the community arm, and our podcast is just really special and eclectic and fantastic. And there's a lot of episodes of just Anya and I. So if you'd enjoyed us gabbing, we have episodes about a lot of episodes about pussy power and pleasure, and we have episodes that are really just us updating everybody on our own journeys. And so our commitment with our listeners is to be very vulnerable and to not pull punches and just speak the truth, right? Speak our truth.
mhm.
And so we also have had some amazing guests on our show. Just I mean, I literally, Dr. J, had my sexual health doctor on my show.
Ooh, I
It
love
was
it.
amazing.
Like, I love to brag about that because, like, there are a lot of sex positive podcasts out there. How many of y'all brought your doctors on? Like,
That's right. That's
like
right.
we just want to be fully transparent and really show up in our authenticity. If we're going to ask women to come and show up in theirs to be in sisterhood with us, we know we have to lead by example with that. So do check out our show if you haven't heard it yet. It's everywhere podcasts can be. Anya, is there anything else I haven't mentioned?
I feel like this has just been a really thorough kind of covering of everything that we stand for, what we're looking for in the sisterhood, and the fact that it is a deep, not a deep commitment in terms of like time intensive and clearly not monetarily, but what we are really looking for is true connection. And I just want to highlight that there are so many other women out there who are looking for that true connection. And every time we sit in, we had 2 interviews last night. We have another couple coming up very soon. We have a few other sisters who are still trying to schedule. Every single time, it is women saying, we're just looking for a safe space to be supported, to not be judged, to not be in competition. And I know that this isn't really bringing you to a new facet of who we are, but I just want women who are listening to this to understand that's all we're trying to facilitate here too, is just to create that space. And so whether we're talking about it on the Flaming Yoni, whether we're doing it in our Discord, whether we're having these amazing conversations with our sisters at our ticketed events, we just are wanting more and more of you to feel safe to step in. If you don't know if Slut Sisters is a place for you, but yet you are interested in the things that we're talking about, the answer is it is. And you deserve support, and we want to be that for you.
Well, I love it, and I feel like I'm the I don't know, the mystery networker. I mean, I love when I can connect other sex positive folks together to expand our networking so I know what it is specifically that you offer, that you provide, that you're supporting women with. And I think about, I love that true connection and the safe space because I think that's what we're really missing out on in the world today is making sure we have those things. And so as I get here toward the end, we've been gabbing. I'm not sure where there even is going to be a Q&A because I thought of something else to ask. um, Tell me about your experience on the Moan app.
Yes. Oh my
We
gosh.
love Moan.
We love the Moan app. So I actually, Anya and I both have been very lucky that we got in early. I think a lot of people that discovered the Moan app later, but a dear friend of ours, Venus, told me about it before it had even launched. And I was actually a Spaces host for a little while, and I still do love Spaces, but the Moan app is just such a great community It's a sex positive audio space, and I I use it as like, yes, we go on there to chat. It's very similar about important, Anya and I have done a chat about the Madonna horror complex and how that affects women's sexuality. We've been a part of the Cuck Week that's on the Moan app. But sometimes I use it for a live experience when I'm driving across the country and my dom decides he wants an audience when he's gonna spank me. So like, it's all of the things. It's just all of the things, and I love it. If you haven't been on there yet, you definitely need to check it out, and we will always be there. We did a live pussy gazing session that was led on the Moan app. Like, you can really have a safe space to express yourself in all capacities, and even get a little exhibitionist too, which is always fun.
Yeah, and I think what we really love too about the Moan app is that there are just so many people waiting to hop into those spaces at any time. You see that notification pop up and you got an audience right away. And it's not about the audience, it's about the engagement. Again, community. It is about building a place for sex positive communication and talking and connection. And when we ended up having Roe get overturned last year, we hopped in. Scarlett texted me and she was like, we need to do a talk tonight. And that it was so powerful, it was so raw.
So powerful.
You can just get in and do things real time and get people's real reactions, real responses, real kind of heartfelt, thoughts on things in a moment's notice. And it was really powerful.
I love it. I love it. And you know what's interesting? I hope Mish put something in there for the Moan app. Kale and I have known each other for a while. I got to meet him. I got to give him a big hug when I was in Austin in December. So that was really fun to, make those connections. And he and I have, back channeled about. I don't have an iPhone, so I haven't been able to be on it until Android was available. But I'm all aware of it beforehand because he and I were talking. So that always made that interesting. But in my networking component, one thing that you may not be aware of that I wanted to make sure that you had available to you, because you are doing so many supportive spaces. A lot of times, and Scarlett, when you said you had your healthcare provider come on there, this is why I'm bringing this up. I work with a physician in Dallas, Dr. Lindsay Harper. She's an OBGYN, and she created an app, which is a sexual platform for women called Rosie. You can get it on, Google or Apple. And this is all about every kind of video on content of sexual issues, concerns, over the course of your life. So all of the different things because of our changes in our body, because of age, because of stage of life, all of those things, you can get that there. And it's also supportive from that research place, because we know that research shows us that for women, when they read erotic material, we can have desire, arousal, lubrication, and orgasm. And so these are non-prescription things that folks can do in the helping themselves, but it's all sanctioned from a medical direction. So this is a place that somebody could go to get help. They do coaching, they do one-on-one work. And so if you need a place and you don't have it and you're looking for that research and that medicine direction, that's a great app to have in your pocket.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Dr. J. Yeah, I mean, I know for me having, there are so many women who don't have access to health information, uh, or just real, like, evidence-based, grounded information. And so to have an app like that out there, for it to be coming out of Texas, that's great to hear as well. Because having a great supportive healthcare provider and really accurate, non-stigmatizing information is so important on any woman's journey. We hear it over and over again with our sisters. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. And from a urology perspective, let me think. Ashley Winters, I think is her name. She's on Twitter. She has a telemedicine. And so she's been doing a lot of work about why women need estrogen later in life to help with UTIs.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of ways. That's why I'm so excited that we're doing this networking, because we need to be able to have a giant Rolodex where we can say,
Yes.
oh, that topic, I know who I can send you over to chat with and that sort of thing. So,
Absolutely. Well, I love that you're bringing it up because I will look her up as well because we've been looking to get a sex positive kind of hormone specialist in that can speak to things for women at all ages because in the sisterhood, we have sisters ranging from their 20s to their 70s and we
yeah,
want to make sure that we're supporting women at all stages of their growth and development and hormones, they just play a part at every
yeah.
stage.
Yeah, and a bigger part than most people know in terms of, how the body works. And for me, I can tell you when menopause happened a million years ago, I had not one hormone in my body, which caused me to have zero brain function, and I nearly burned the house down. So there are so many
My
things
goodness.
that people need to have access to so they can make good decisions for themselves and, be treated in that equal direction that the sexuality aspects of who we are taps into every area of our life, and that we need to
Completely.
start with our own selves and be supported by people that have the same belief about how important it is to be sexually liberated, unshamed, transformed. I'm loving the T word in your process because I think that's so important. And I'm coming up on 5 minutes left. So here's where I am. I would love for each of you to make a final statement, anything that you want to say, and then I'll close us out.
Go. You go.
Oh,
We're just waiting on
no,
each other.
I know we do this all the time. Well, Dr. J, I just really want to thank you so much for inviting us into your space. I've been a listener and it's great to be up here and thank you for all of the work you have done and are doing, to normalize people's sexual experience, and, just to empower them in the same way that we are. What I would say is that, it's as a closing statement, you deserve to step into your fullness. Everybody listening, you deserve to have an amazing sex life, like regardless of what any messages you've received to the contrary may tell you. All bodies, all backgrounds, all people deserve pleasure, and I think that is what we are moving closer to with Slut Sisters, with the Flaming Yoni, and we're just so grateful. Like the Anya and I, like the fact that we met each other, the fact that we were able to do this work together, it's a true blessing. And to come into spaces like this and share a little bit about our mission, it's really invigorating. So just want to thank you and thank everybody listening.
Great,
Yeah.
Scarlett. Thank you. Anya?
Yeah, I mean, plus one to everything Scarlett says always. And on top of that as well, I think that one of the things that makes community so powerful is that we are not keeping things hidden and under covers and in the dark. And when we're able to bring desire to the forefront, our pleasure to the forefront, our kinks, our fetishes, get honest about them and really put that out there and get support from others and normalization from others, that is the blessing of community. And when we're able to do that together, it just amplifies and impacts so many other areas of our lives that just help us continue to walk our journeys as whole and complete people. And so, yes, this is about sex. Yes, this is about sexual empowerment. It's about sexual liberation and all of that. But when you are someone who knows yourself, when you are somebody who has traveled that path back to your own heart center, understands what you want and all of that, and are not afraid to go after it and speak your truth, it's going to impact your relationships in a healthful way. It's going to impact your career in a healthful way. It's going to impact the way that you move through the world in a healthy way. And so when you allow yourself this indulgence of really stepping into your birthright as a sexual being, you are going to see it paying dividends in the rest of the areas of your life. And that for us is what the community is all about.
Well, I love it. And as I tie this together, I'm going to do this from a sex therapy direction. You have seen today the best example of the PLISSIT model. The PLISSIT model stands for permission, limited information, specific suggestion, and intensive therapy. If we did the first three items every single day, we probably wouldn't have to have the intensive therapy at the end. You have heard us be open, concerning, genuine about our topic here. We have given specific, limited information, facts, information that you need to have about your body, and then very specific suggestions. And if we can tie those things together, then I'm doing my mission right here in the sexuality space to make that happen. I am so excited that Scarlett and Anya were here today. I am looking forward to being on their podcast. That will be really, really cool. Misha has put lots of information up in the nest and in the chat. Follow everybody here. It's important that we keep the network going and we have this connection. You can sign up for my newsletter, follow my YouTube channel, and tomorrow I will be on the Moan app at 4 o'clock. Where I will be talking about a Purple Sex for Women discussion celebrating May as Sexual Pleasure Month, or talking about masturbation and how you can help people create space and time for their own pleasure. So that'll be the focus for that. And next week in the sexuality space, let me think, what am I doing? We'll probably continue the celebration of pleasure, because the week after that, Misha will be in my lovely space and we'll be doing a writers event together on the sexuality space on the last Wednesday of the month. So I'm really excited about that. As always, Misha, thank you for being my backup. Thank you for being my partner in crime, doing all these wonderful things. And Scarlett and Anya, thank you. And everyone here, I appreciate you taking time out of your day and being with us. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.